The stars were burning. Watched from the communications tower as another ship exploded in the dark sky above her world. The vessel broke apart like glass, pieces falling through the atmosphere as streaks of fire. She could hear the screams through the radio. Then silence, always silence after. They had come 3 days ago. They came with 300 warships. They came with weapons that could turn cities to ash. They came with demands that the people could never accept. Surrender your world, become our slaves, serve or die. They were not warriors, they were artists and scientists. Their ships were built for exploration, not battle. Their people had never known war. They had lived in peace for 2,000 years. Now that peace was ending in fire and blood. Elder had ordered the evacuation of the major cities. Millions of fled to underground shelters, but there was no escape. The blockade surrounded the entire planet. No ship could leave. No help could arrive. They were alone. Was young, barely 20 cycles old. She had trained as a communications officer for only 1 year. Now she was one of the last operators still alive. The others had died when they bombed the main station. She had survived only because she was in the backup tower, a small building on a remote mountain. Her hands were shaking as she worked the controls. She had tried everything. She had sent messages to every frequency she knew. She had called for help from the Galactic Council. She had begged the neutral systems for aid. No one answered. No one wanted to fight them. There was one more frequency, an old one, a forbidden one. Stared at the numbers on her screen. Every child in the galaxy knew this frequency. It was the one you never used. It was the channel that reached into the dark space beyond the mapped stars. It was the way to contact the humans. Had heard the stories. Everyone had. 300 years ago, the humans had fought in the Unification Wars. They had faced the Silken Empire, a power that had conquered 1,000 worlds. The humans had only one world, one small planet called Earth. But that world was different. It was a death world. Earth had crushing gravity, toxic air, extreme temperatures, deadly predators, constant natural disasters. The humans had evolved there. They had survived there. And when the Silken Empire came for them, the humans had done something no one expected. They won. The war lasted 10 years. At the end, the Silken Empire was gone, completely gone. The humans had not just defeated them. They had erased them from existence. Every ship, every station, every colony, gone. After that, the humans, they built a great barrier around their space and disappeared. They wanted nothing from the galaxy. The galaxy wanted nothing from them. For 300 years, they slept in their dark corner of space, and the rest of the galaxy learned to be grateful for their silence. Now was about to wake them. She did not know if this was a good idea. She did not know if the humans would even answer. She did not know if they would help or simply ignore her. But she knew one thing. Her people were dying, and no one else would save them. She pressed the transmit button. "This is of the collective," she said. Her voice was trembling. "We are under attack. The Dominion is destroying our world. We have no weapons. We have no army. We cannot fight. Please, if anyone can hear this, please help us. We are going to die." She released the button. The message flew into the void at the speed of light. It passed through dead systems and empty space. It crossed the barrier that no ship had crossed in centuries. It reached the dark world called Earth. In the Sol system, a listening station picked up the signal. The officer on duty was a young woman named. She listened to the message 3 times. Then she contacted her commander. Her commander contacted the fleet. The fleet contacted the admiral. Admiral was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in the Terran Navy for 40 years. He had never fired a weapon at another species. He had never needed to. The galaxy had learned its lesson long ago. But he remembered the old days. His grandfather had fought in the Unification Wars. His grandfather had told him stories about what it meant to be human, about the strength and the fury and the terrible will to survive, about the fire that burned in every human heart. Read the message on his screen. He watched the attached video. He saw the burning cities, the dead children, the ships falling from the sky. He saw the young girl crying as she begged for help. He made one call. "Wake them all," he said. Across human space, lights began to turn on. Engines that had been cold for decades started to warm. Soldiers who had trained their whole lives for a war that never came received their orders. Ships that the galaxy hoped would never fly again began to move. The 7th Terran Fleet assembled in orbit around Mars. 60 warships. Each one was larger than anything that had ever built. Each one was covered in armor thick enough to survive a nuclear blast. Each one carried a crew of humans who had grown up on a world that tried to kill them every day. Captain stood on the bridge of the unyielding dawn. She was 40 years old with black hair and calm eyes. She had never seen real combat. No human alive had, but she had trained for it. She had prepared for it. She was ready. She looked at her crew. They were ready too. "Set course for the system," she said. "Maximum speed." The fleet moved as one. 60 ships of war disappeared into the darkness between stars. They were coming. And the galaxy was about to remember why it feared The galaxy watched in fear. On 100 different worlds, sensors detected the movement from Sol space. Ships were leaving the human territory. Many ships, big ships, the kind of ships that had not flown in 300 years. Ambassador of the Republic stared at his screen with wide eyes. He had been a diplomat for 60 years. He had seen wars and treaties and the rise and fall of empires, but he had never seen this. He had hoped he would never see this. "Contact the immediately," he said to his assistant. "Tell them to withdraw from the system. Tell them to do it now, before it is too late." His assistant looked confused. "Sir, they have 300 ships. They are winning. Why would they retreat?" Grabbed the young man by the shoulders. "Because the humans are coming, and if they are still there when they arrive, there will be no left to retreat." The message went out. They received it. They laughed. Overseer was the commander of the invasion force. He was a large reptile with green scales and yellow eyes. He had conquered 12 worlds in his career. He had killed millions. He had never lost a battle. He read the warning from the Republic. He read the reports about the human fleet. He smiled. 60 ships, he said to his officers. "They send 60 ships against my 300. These are either very brave or very stupid." His first officer, a younger named, looked worried. "Overseer, the records from the Unification Wars are very clear. The humans are not like other species. They are dangerous." Waved his hand. "Those records are 300 years old. The humans have been hiding in their space doing nothing. They are soft now, weak. They have forgotten how to fight." He turned to look at the burning planet below him. "Continue the bombardment. I want this world empty by the time those human ships arrive. Then we will destroy them too." Far away, aboard the unyielding Dawn, Captain called her crew to the main hall. Every soldier, every engineer, every officer gathered together. They stood in silence and waited for their captain to speak. Looked at them. Some were young, barely out of training. Some were old, veterans who had spent their whole lives preparing for war. All of them were human. All of them were children of Earth. "You know why we are here," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "A species called the sent a message. They asked for help. They are dying. They have no weapons. They have no soldiers. They cannot protect themselves." She paused. "They are killing them, burning their cities, slaughtering their children. The rest of the galaxy is watching, but no one is helping. They are afraid." A young soldier raised his hand. "Captain, why should we help them? They are strangers. We owe them nothing." Smiled. It was a sad smile. "Let me tell you a story. Long ago, our ancestors lived on a small planet, a beautiful planet, but it was also a deadly planet. The gravity was strong. The weather was harsh. Predators hunted us. Diseases killed us. Every day was a fight to survive. She walked among her crew as she spoke. We almost died so many times, the great ice ages, the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, the wars we fought against each other, but we survived. We always survived. Do you know why? No one answered. Because we refused to give up, said. Because when things got hard, we got harder. Because when the universe tried to kill us, we looked it in the eye and said no. She stopped walking. That is what it means to be human. That is what it means to come from a death world. We are not soft. We are not weak. We are the children of a planet that tried to kill us for 1,000,000 years, and we are still here. She pointed toward the stars. Out there, a species is dying. They called for help. They called into the dark, hoping someone would answer. We are that answer, not because we owe them anything, not because we want something from them, but because that is who we are. We help those who cannot help themselves. The crew was silent. Then one by one they began to stamp their feet. The sound grew louder and louder until it filled the entire ship. It was the human way of showing agreement, of showing unity, of showing that they were ready. Nodded, prepare for battle. We arrive in 12 hours. In another part of the fleet, Sergeant Minu was training his Marines. They were called the Reapers, and they were the best soldiers in the human military. They specialized in ship boarding, in close combat, in fighting in the places where other species could not survive. Minu was a big man with short hair and a face. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He had never seen real combat, but he had trained every day as if he would. His body was a weapon. His mind was a weapon. His will was the most dangerous weapon of all. Listen up, he told his soldiers. They think they are warriors. They are not. They have never faced a real enemy. They have never fought someone who can hurt them. We are going to teach them what war really is. He held up a combat knife. This is a human weapon, simple, primitive, deadly. Other species use guns and lasers and plasma cannons. We use those too, but we also use these, because sometimes you need to look your enemy in the eye when you kill them. The Marines nodded. They understood. They are bigger than us, Minu continued. They are stronger than us. They have harder skin and sharper claws, but they have never been hurt. They do not know how to keep fighting when they are bleeding. They do not know how to push through pain. We do. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Pain is our teacher, fear is our friend, and death is just another enemy to defeat. Doctor sat in her quarters, reading everything she could find about She was a scientist who studied alien life. She was also the fleet's diplomatic liaison. Her job was to understand other species, to find ways to communicate with them, to build bridges instead of walls. She looked at images of they were beautiful creatures, tall and thin with feathers covering their bodies. They had large eyes and gentle faces. They looked fragile, delicate, like birds that had never known a predator. Felt something stir in her chest. It was an old human instinct, the desire to protect, the need to keep the weak safe from harm. We are coming, she whispered to the images. Hold on, we are coming. The fleet flew on through the darkness, and the galaxy held its breath. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. 60 ships materialized from the darkness like ghosts becoming real. They hung in space, silent and still, watching the enemy ahead. Overseer received the report on his command ship. He walked to the viewing screen and looked at the human vessels for the first time. What he saw made him pause. These were not normal ships. These were monsters made of metal. Each one was covered in thick armor plating. The armor was not smooth or elegant like ships. It was rough and marked by old battles and repaired wounds. These ships did not try to avoid damage. They expected it. They welcomed it. Scan them, ordered. The results came back. His officers stared at the numbers with disbelief. Overseer said quietly, their ships have no shields. Blink to what? No shields, sir. No energy barriers, no defensive screens, just armor, solid armor. Looked pale. The armor is 3 meters thick. It is made of materials we do not recognize. Our weapons will barely scratch it. Shook his head. That is impossible. Every species uses shields. Armor alone cannot protect against modern weapons. The humans are not every species, replied. They come from a death world. They never learn to hide behind energy fields. They learn to take the hit and keep fighting. Before could respond, a communication signal came through. It was from the human flagship. Admiral appeared on the screen. He was an old man with a calm face. He did not look angry or excited. He looked tired, like a man who had been woken from a long sleep to do something he did not want to do. "This is Admiral of the Terran 7th Fleet," he said. His voice was soft but clear. "You are attacking an innocent world. You are killing civilians. You are committing war crimes." Laughed. "And what are you going to do about it, human? You have 60 ships. I have 300. Run back to your little corner of space before I add your bones to my collection." Did not react to the insult. "You have 1 hour. Leave this system. Take your ships and go, never return. If you do this, you will live." "And if I refuse?" His eyes grew cold. It was a small change, but something about it made feel strange, uncomfortable, almost afraid. "If you refuse," said, "then in 1 hour I will destroy your fleet, every ship, every soldier. I will hunt down your escape pods and your survivors. I will follow you to Ur if I must. And when I am finished, the Dominion will be a memory, a warning, a story that other species tell their children to make them behave." He leaned forward. "You have 1 hour." The screen went dark. Stood in silence. His officers looked at him, waiting for orders. He could feel something in his chest, something cold and tight. He pushed it away. He would not be afraid of these humans. He would not be threatened by an old man with 60 ships. "Ignore him," said. "Continue the bombardment. When the hour is up, destroy them all." The hour passed slowly. On both sides, soldiers prepared for battle. They loaded their weapons and powered their shields. The humans checked their armor and said quiet prayers to whatever gods they believed in. Captain stood on the bridge of the unyielding dawn. She watched the clock count down. When it reached 0, she opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships," she said, "attack." The battle began. Sergeant Minu and his Marines were the first to strike. Their assault ship was small and fast. It slipped past the formation before anyone noticed. It attached itself to the side of a destroyer like a parasite. The Marines cut through the hull in seconds. They poured into the enemy ship with guns blazing. The soldiers inside were not prepared. They expected a normal enemy. They expected creatures that would die when shot, creatures that would run when hurt, creatures that would surrender when beaten. They did not get that. Minu killed the first 3 before they could raise their weapons. He moved through the corridors like a shadow, fast and silent and deadly. His Marines followed, covering every angle, working together like a single organism. A soldier shot him in the shoulder. The bullet punched through his armor and into his flesh. Minu did not stop. He did not scream. He turned, raised his weapon, and shot the between the eyes. Then he kept moving. The watched in horror. This human had been shot, he was bleeding, but he was still fighting, still killing, still smiling. "What are you?" one screamed before Minu's knife found his throat. "I am human," Minu replied, "and I do not die easy." In space, the main battle raged. The ships fired everything they had at the human fleet. Lasers and missiles and plasma cannons filled the void with light and fire. The attacks hit the human ships directly. There were no shields to stop them. But the armor held. The human ships absorbed the damage. Their hulls glowed red from the heat. Their surfaces cracked and burned. But they did not break. They did not retreat. They kept coming. Captain watched the damage reports on her screen. Her ship had been hit 17 times. The outer armor was damaged. Several compartments had lost pressure. 2 crew members were dead. She did not stop. "Navigation," she ordered. "Set course directly for their command ship. Maximum speed." Her navigation officer looked at her. "Captain, that will take us through the center of their formation. We will take massive damage." "Yes," said, "we will do it anyway." The unyielding Dawn accelerated. It flew straight into the heart of the fleet. Enemy ships tried to stop it. They poured fire onto its hull. They launched missiles. They even tried to ram it. Nothing worked. The human ship plowed through everything. When a destroyer got in its way, did not go around. She went through. The unyielding Dawn smashed into the smaller ship and broke it in half. Then it kept going. Overseer watched from his command ship. He saw the human vessel cutting through his fleet like a knife through paper. He saw his ships exploding, his soldiers dying, his invasion falling apart. For the first time in his life, felt real fear. "What are they?" he whispered. No one answered. The battle continued. The humans did not tire. The humans did not slow. The humans did not stop. And one by one, the ships began to die. The battle had become something the galaxy would never forget. Across 1,000 worlds, people watched the live broadcasts. Sensors from neutral ships recorded everything. News networks played the footage again and again. No one could look away. They saw human ships that refused to die. They saw weapons that did nothing. They saw the hunters become the hunted. The fleet was falling apart. Ships exploded every minute. Escape pods filled the void like seeds in the wind. Soldiers screamed for help on open channels, but no help was coming. Admiral sat on the bridge of his flagship watching the battle calmly. He did not smile. He did not cheer. There was no joy in his eyes, only duty. "Status report," he said. His tactical officer answered. "Enemy fleet down to 142 ships. We have lost 3 ships. 12 others have significant damage but remain combat ready. 3 ships out of 60 against 300 enemies." Nodded. "Continue the attack. Push them toward the planet. Cut off their escape routes." In the corridors of a battleship, Sergeant Minu and his Marines were still fighting. They had taken the destroyer and moved on to bigger targets. Now they were inside one of the main battleships, working their way toward the engine room. Minu had been shot 4 more times. 1 bullet was still in his leg. He had wrapped the wound with a piece of cloth and kept moving. Pain was just information. It told you that you were still alive. A young Marine named fought beside him. The boy was only 20 years old. This was his first real battle, but he was doing well. He was scared, yes, but he did not let the fear stop him. Sergeant said, "There are 50 between us and the engine room. How do we get through?" Minu checked his ammunition. He had half a magazine left. His knife was still sharp. His body was tired but not broken. "We walk through them," he said. "We kill everything that moves. We do not stop until the job is done." Nodded. He was pale, but his hands were steady. "Stay behind me," Minu told him. "Watch my back and remember what you are." "What am I?" Minu smiled. "You are human. You are the most dangerous thing in this galaxy. Act like it." They attacked. On the planet below, Doctor landed her shuttle in the ruins of an city. The buildings around her were burned and broken. The streets were empty. The sky was still dark with smoke. She stepped outside and looked around. For a moment she thought everyone was dead. Then she saw movement. A door opened in a half-destroyed building and stepped out. It was Elder. He was old and thin, with gray feathers and tired eyes. He looked at with fear and confusion. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is," she said. She spoke slowly and carefully, making sure he understood. "I am human. We received your distress call. We came to help." Stared at her. "You are the—" "Yes." "You are the ones who destroyed the Silken Empire." "Yes." Trembled. "Have you come to destroy us too?" felt her heart break. This old man, this leader of his people, was standing in the ashes of his world. He had called for help, but he did not know if the help would save him or kill him. He was afraid of everyone. She knelt down so her eyes were level with his. "No," she said gently. "We came to save you. The battle above is almost over. They are losing. Soon your sky will be clear again." Did not move. Why would you help us? We are strangers. We have nothing to offer you." Thought about the question. It was a fair question. Why would one species risk everything to save another? "Because you asked," she said finally. "Because you called into the dark, hoping someone would answer, and we heard you. We could not ignore that." Tears fell from his old eyes. Not tears of sadness, tears of relief, tears of hope. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you." More emerged from hiding. They came out of bunkers and basements and broken buildings. Hundreds of them, thousands. They looked at with wonder and fear. She opened her shuttle and began unloading supplies. Food, medicine, water, clean blankets, everything she had brought for them. "Help me distribute this," she called to the. "Your people are hungry and hurt. Let us take care of them together." Slowly, they began to help. They worked beside the human woman who had come from the stars. They did not understand her, but they were starting to trust her. In space, the battle reached its final stage. Overseer's command ship was the last major vessel standing. All around him, the wreckage of his fleet floated in the darkness. 300 ships had become 40. 40 was becoming less every minute. Tried to run. He ordered his ship to break through the human formation and escape to empty space. It almost worked. Then the unyielding dawn appeared in front of him. Captain's ship was damaged. Half the armor was gone. Fires burned in several sections. But it was still fighting, still flying, still dangerous. "This is captain of the Terran vessel Unyielding Dawn," she announced. "Overseer, your fleet is destroyed. You have no escape. Surrender now and you will be treated according to galactic law. Refuse and you will die here." His hands were shaking. His officers were looking at him with desperation. They wanted to surrender. They wanted to live. But was proud, too proud. He had never lost. He would not start now. "Fire everything," he screamed. "Kill that ship." The command ship launched its final attack. Every weapon fired at once. The Unyielding Dawn took the full blast. Its hull cracked. Its engines flickered. For a moment, it looked like the human ship would finally die. Then it started moving again. His voice came through the radio. "Was that your best?" The Unyielding Dawn accelerated. It slammed into the command ship at full speed. The impact was massive. Both ships broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. But before the collision, Sergeant Minu and his Marines had already boarded. They had used the attack as cover. Now they were inside ship, fighting through the chaos. Minu found on the bridge. The Overseer was trapped under a fallen beam, his legs crushed, his face covered in blood. "Please," begged, "please spare me. I surrender. I will do anything." Minu looked down at him. He thought about all the who had begged for their lives, all the children who had screamed for mercy, all the innocent people this creature had killed. Then he made a choice. "You will face trial," Minu said. "You will answer for your crimes. That is the human way." He called for a medic they would keep alive, not for his sake, but because humans believed in justice, even for monsters. The battle was over. The sky above them was finally clear. For the first time in weeks, the people could see the stars, not the fire of burning ships, not the smoke of destroyed cities, just stars, quiet and peaceful and beautiful. Elder stood on a hill outside the ruins of his capital city. Around him, thousands have gathered. They watched as human shuttles descended from orbit. The shuttles carried soldiers, yes, but also doctors, engineers, workers, people who had come to help rebuild. Doctor walked beside the elder. She had not slept in 3 days. Her clothes were dirty and her face was tired, but she was smiling. The medical teams are setting up in the eastern sector, she told. Your wounded are being treated. We brought enough food and water for everyone. The engineers are already working on restoring power to the shelters. Looked at her with wonder. You do so much. You ask for nothing in return. I do not understand. Shrugged, there is nothing to understand. Your people needed help. We had the ability to give it, that is all. But why, in all my years, no species has ever done this? Everyone wants something. Power, resources, territory. What do humans want? Thought about the question. It was the same question had asked before. It was the question everyone in the galaxy was asking. We want what everyone wants, she said. To know that we are not alone. To know that when we cry for help, someone will answer. We came here because we remember what it is like to be afraid. We remember what it is like to face extinction. And we refuse to let another species face that alone. Was silent for a long time. Then he reached out and took her hand. His feathers were soft and warm against her skin. Thank you, he said, not just for saving us, for showing us that kindness still exists in this universe. Admiral landed on the planet later that day. His flagship had been damaged in the battle, but it was being repaired. He had lost many soldiers. Each death weighed on his heart, but they had won. They had saved that meant something. He met Elder in the remains of the main temple. It was a beautiful building once. Now it was half destroyed, but they were already cleaning it, already preparing to rebuild. Bowed to the Admiral. You are the leader of the human fleet. I am, said. You destroyed you saved my world. How can I ever repay you? Shook his head. There is no debt. We did not come for payment. We came because you needed help. But I must understand, pressed. The galaxy fears your kind. They call you, they say you are monsters, killers, destroyers. Yet here you are saving us, healing us, helping us rebuild. Which is the truth? Are you monsters or saviors? Sat down on a fallen stone. He looked old and tired, but his eyes were kind. We are both, he said quietly. Humans are capable of great violence. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to fight. We learned to kill. We learned to survive at any cost. He paused. But we also learned something else. We learned that survival is not enough. We learned that life has no meaning if we only care about ourselves. He looked at the ruined temple around them. 300 years ago, we destroyed an empire. The Silken Empire was evil. They enslaved billions. They murdered trillions. We ended them. And then we looked at what we had done and we were afraid. Afraid of what? Asked. Afraid of ourselves, said. We saw what we could do when we were angry. We saw the destruction we could cause. And we decided to withdraw from the galaxy, to hide, to make sure we would never hurt anyone again. He smiled sadly. But hiding is not the answer. We see that now. The galaxy needs someone to protect the weak, someone to stand against evil, someone who is not afraid to fight. He stood up. That is what humans can be, not monsters, guardians. On the edge of the ruined city, Sergeant Minu was helping the clear rubble. His wounds had been treated, but he still hurt everywhere. He did not care. There was work to do. A young child approached him. She was small and thin with bright blue feathers. She looked at him with curious eyes. Are you a human? She asked. I am, Minu said. My mother says humans are scary. She says you can break ships with your hands and survive being shot. Minu laughed. I cannot break ships with my hands, but yes, I have been shot a few times. I am still here. The child moved closer. Are you going to hurt us? Minu knelt down so he was at her level. No, he said gently. I am here to help you, I promise. The child stared at him for a moment. Then she hugged him. Her small arms wrapped around his neck and she held on tight. Minu froze. He did not know what to do. He was a soldier, a killer. He had never been hugged by a child before. Then he hugged her back. Captain watched from a distance. The unyielding Dawn was destroyed, but the captain had survived. She had been transferred to another ship. She would receive a new command soon, but for now she was just watching. She saw the human soldiers helping she saw the doctors treating the wounded. She saw the engineers building shelters. She saw Minu holding the little girl. This is what we are, she said to herself. Not just warriors, not just killers. We are protectors, healers, friends. The galaxy was watching. News networks broadcast images of humans helping They showed soldiers carrying wounded civilians. They showed doctors working through the night. They showed being gentle. And slowly the fear began to change. It did not disappear. Humans were still terrifying. They were still the children of a death world. They were still capable of incredible violence. But now the galaxy understood something new. The violence was not the point. The violence was a tool. The humans used it to protect, to save, to guard the weak against the strong. A week later, the human fleet prepared to leave. They had begun rebuilding. Other species were sending aid. The crisis was over. Doctor decided to stay. She would be the first human ambassador to live among another species in 300 years. Her job would be to build a new relationship between humans and the galaxy. It would not be easy. There was so much fear to overcome, so many old wounds to heal. But it was a start. She watched the unyielding Dawn's replacement rise into the sky. Admiral had given her a final message before he left. "We will come when called," he said. "That is our promise to the galaxy. No matter how far, no matter how dangerous, if someone cries for help, we will answer." Believed him. Far away on other worlds, other species looked to the stars with new eyes. They had seen what the humans could do. They had seen the fury and the gentleness, the violence and the mercy. They had seen them become something more. And in the silence between stars, humanity waited, ready to answer the next call. Because that was what it meant to be human. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to protect those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy had forgotten that truth for 300 years. Now they would never forget again.